There's good work on creativity and development by Alison Gopnik, who's a child psychologist child developmental psychologist at Berkeley, and she's got this great task where you have to figure out this really counterintuitive problem, and she's got a graph that I reproduce in the book of how people do on it as they age. And so 4-year-olds are awesome at it; they solve it right away, and it just goes down in a line until adults are really bad at it. And what I do in the book is lay that on top of a chart showing the development of the prefrontal cortex. So this part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex, is really important. It's in charge of self-control, cognitive control, executive function. It's what allows you to stay focused on a task. It's what allows you to not meander in a conversation and actually stay focused on what you're talking about. But it's an enemy of creativity, for one thing. So it seems to interfere with your ability to think out of the box or think laterally.
Doesn't this also coincide, though, with responsibilities in life?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the timeline?
Well, it's the other. I mean, in a way, it's the other way around. So you get more responsibilities because you can handle them because you actually have a prefrontal cortex.
But is that really what's going on, or is it just that you actually have a family and you have to feed them? And then you have these primal responsibilities that sort of rise up that force you to think much more pragmatically. I mean, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right?
I think they're happening. They're co-happening. So it's developing the way it's developing because evolution has a problem it needs to solve. The prefrontal cortex is the enemy of spontaneity. It's the enemy of creativity. It's the enemy of kind of childlike trust. You know, you see kids just walk up to a stranger in the airport and be like, "Hey, do you want to meet my stuffed animal?" You know, kids are just, they're open, right? That's a good trait for some things. But kids also can't tie their frickin' shoes and get to school in the morning, right? And so there's this tension. Evolution wants us to be able to take care of our families and do our jobs and get food. And so its solution, essentially, is to give us this really extended childhood. So we have this long period where we're just gradually building our prefrontal cortex. And that allows us to be open, to make ties to other people, to learn from our culture, to learn language. We have all these skills we need to learn. And then right around kind of mid-20s, like 24, 25, is when you finally finish developing your PFC. And that's around the time when you have to start being hyper-responsible. And so it seems like a good solution for evolution to do that. The problem is once you've got that fully developed PFC, you've lost a lot of these childlike traits. So you've lost your ability to trust people implicitly. You've lost your ability to be creative, as Gopnik's work shows. And so it would be awesome if you could be a grown-up and have a PFC and be able to get to work on time and do everything you need to do, but you had a way to temporarily be like a child again for a few hours. And this is how you do it, right? It's basically a cultural technology for temporarily turning down your prefrontal cortex so you can be like a 4-year-old for a little bit.
That explains comedians.
That explains comedians. I mean, it's central to comedy. I mean, it's got to be the case. You must use alcohol in writing.
Yeah, I like a little bit of alcohol and a little bit of marijuana mixed together.